Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. I'm your host, Joe, here with Coinigy and joined by the wonderful Mr. Brian Beamish from therationalinvestor.com. Here to make a positive difference in the world and teach some people here to make a positive difference in trading. Thank you for joining us, Brian.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me and having me part of our. Actually, we make a fun team.
I'd say so. It's been a very good dynamic so far.
We call us the facially decorated crew. Actually, and this would probably be pretty good for the degen generation. I'm going total degen today. I got TRI hoodie. I've got my German drinking hat. Actually, I was showing you earlier. I'm going for the American Dad bucket hat guy. I have no idea what the guy's name is, but anyway, going for that look. And then when I go full on degen crypto, I throw on the hoodie top and let's get busy.
I love it.
Anyway, just
with Oktoberfest.
Right, yeah, I suppose that's coming up. Yeah, I suppose they're going to be face down in a ditch pretty soon. So anyway, that used to be, in fact, my memories of university, because you were telling me now you're doing like a master's degree, so you're like in major university land.
Yes, sir.
My memories of university were face down in a ditch.
It happens. It can happen.
I was Delta Kappa Epsilon. I don't know whether you know what that fraternity is. Actually, what's so ironic is George Bush and all those cronies. They're all fraternity brothers of mine.
Interesting. Yeah, I was never in a fraternity. I played club sports, club lacrosse at Marquette. So that was in sense my fraternity of brothers.
Yeah, and sports teams. That's a pretty tight knit group too, eh?
Definitely, we still have still talk with a lot of those guys to this day. So,
yeah.
Welcome everyone. It's Jay Wall and Omar. Nice to see you both there.
Yeah, we got and I checked in with Adam. He said that he might join us here this evening, so hopefully we'll see him. And Gospel, am I pronouncing that correctly? No, Gospetig. Remember, I'm an old man. I don't want to put my glasses on to read this screen. That'll make me look even older. He's already got a request in for us tonight.
Beautiful. So, I'd love to.
Maybe we can actually put Brian in the box a little bit, and let's actually get some names that people want to take a look at. Mind you, I don't know. What do you think about the tutorials? Do you think you're learning anything through all this?
Absolutely. I'm learning and been trying to absorb it all like a sponge.
I seem to be out of focus. For some reason, every once in a while, my camera does that, and I have to put my hand up to sort of get it to refocus. Anyway, first question right out of the gate. Let's see if all 5 people over there on YouTube can answer. Let's see who gets the brownie points for being most eager. What are we supposed to have in front of us when you're listening to the old man rant here?
I heard.
Uh-oh.
Your journal.
Hey, there you go. Good. Excellent. Beautiful. Oh, that's perfect. Is that a TRI journal too?
No, not yet.
Oh, we got to get you one of those.
Funny, this one says organized chaos. The organized chaos theory.
That'd be kind of a good theme for maybe one of our covers. Josh, if you're listening, Josh runs the merch store. I don't know whether you've ever seen the merch store because we got tons of stuff that is.
You're showing me a little bit of that. I got to upgrade my mouse pad too. I got to get one of those ones with all of the
all the cool types. TA. In fact, I think this is one of the this is what's on the mouse pad, and actually we put it on Coffee Cup too. I think there's the camera, and it's like literally our entire level 1 TA course on a coffee cup. The only problem is I don't want to use the damn thing because I don't want it to erase any of the awesome information. I mean, it's so boss. This would be the absolute perfect Father's Day gift. If you're a kid and you're going, what the hell should I get the old man for Father's Day? That's absolutely the perfect. Anyway, Omer says Diet Coke and journal. All right. Um, actually, yeah, not a bad idea to have a beverage handy as well. Um, so I guess the question is, and I probably a good idea. I know you were kind of telling everybody. I don't. Was it just? I think it was the last show that you were telling me some of the new features at Coinigy, right?
Yeah, we went over the change log a little bit last week there. Uh,
Yeah. So
First being the chart being on there for the line chart, and then I was sending you some of the behind the scenes stuff that's
mm,
being worked on, such as adding like RSI in stuff right there. But so you guys watching this show are getting kind of the first ears on it. So yeah, we're working on trying to get some
love
other
that. If you could have
indicators
like
stuff.
a little picture here of RSI, oh, Julian would cream his pants.
Yeah, so that actually is what we're working
That would
on.
be pretty sick. Because if you could identify M's and W's in RSI, that would actually probably be really usable trading information.
Yeah, so
So
that is one. And the other that's in discussion is volume.
yeah, if you could have
So
like a volume, like a line, you could just have a line showing the volume, and what we want to see is rising volume. And even if we could maybe even have like a volume and like a moving average or something over it, because when volume crosses the 20 period moving average for volume, that's usually a really powerful signal.
yeah,
So
so that's all being discussed on seeing how we can get it implemented into the platform. But
that would be sick because nobody else in the space really does that kind of work. And I think that would give Coinigy a huge market advantage. You could drive a
yeah,
lot of traffic that way, and I'll be more than happy to promote the crap out of you.
yeah,
If you can put those kind of tools together, that would be sick.
yeah, that'd be awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
so something that we actually wanted to discuss this on this show is the we were talking about volume and how that can be kind of used and how volume speaks volumes, as you mentioned.
Yes, and what was it? What did you say? You go, was that indubitably? Is that what you said?
In oh yeah, pre-show, yes, indubitably.
And it just reminded me, you know, yeah, I think it's the Duke brothers. I'm almost positive. I'm hoping that maybe we could get Joe and I'll be at the point where we're Randolph and Mortimer. Um, these two guys. So remember I was telling you before we got before we got the video going, right? These would be the guys would be like, "Oh, volume speaks volumes," and he'd say, "Indubitably."
Indubitably.
Anyway, so these are the villains of trading places. This is a famous movie about commodities trading.
Gotcha.
With Eddie Murphy was in
We'll have
it,
to
the
get
Dan
ourselves
Aykroyd.
matching hats like that.
Yeah, in fact, actually, that this would be you and I. We'd be the young guys on the
Yeah.
floor. So that would be super fun. Actually, it's interesting because I actually interact with a guy who was on the trading floor and actually a real futures trader for the better part of his life, and that's this gentleman. I don't know whether you've ever heard me made reference to John Hoagland, but he's probably one of my favorite actual real life trader dudes in this world. Um, Over at my old prop firm. So anyway,
Nice.
lots of fun. So indubitably, we have to practice our indubitablies.
Yes, sir.
Anyway,
Yes, sir.
all right. So where do we want to take this show tonight? And actually, let's see. Let's head on back over to our base. We don't need to have those guys on the screen. I suppose just a quick preview. Interesting. TRI's proprietary algo system actually had us being buyers of crypto and Bitcoin here recently. So we are on the long side of the market. And that signal, if we break it down to like say a 30-minute signal, I'll just use the, this is GDAX here. That signal came in. Something doesn't look familiar here. I think it came in actually back in this area here. So we are up a bit on that recent signal. Price it is looking a bit soft. And I've just cautioned people when using the TRI algo that if you do have a situation where crypto is pointing up, but the S&P 500 is pointing down, you can see how the fast moving average is below the slow moving average here. This is a tough market state. And I do notice we did a show, and I guess I can't. Can I show you stock market stuff on Coinigy yet? I know
No, not
you're.
not at this time. It's something we really want to add, but we got to go through some loops with getting it integrated because with Lightspeed, Lightspeed.com is the company that owns us, but
Hmm.
I'm sure we have to go through some legal loops of getting trading and stuff like that. Uh,
Yeah,
going
I was just going
valid.
to mention that this stock market itself, I don't know whether we want to. Do you mind if I show like a stock market
Yeah,
charting
go
platform?
for it.
So this stock market itself, here I am looking at soybeans. Brian, crazy commodities trader. Stock market not happy after that Fed meeting.
Yeah.
And the stock
Um,
market does look like, you know, hey, you've been working with me long enough. What kind of letter of the alphabet does that kind of look
let's
like?
see some M's.
Yeah, and we have a fun little expression, and maybe if you are watching this, you want to learn new stuff. We have a fun little expression on the site. We always say, "What are you supposed to
When the
think if
chart
you ever
smiles at
see
you, it
the
wants to
market
take your
smiling
money.
at you?"
It wants to take your money.
Yeah, so a lot of people are sort of looking for a correction this fall.
It
So
looks like you can get a
coming,
head and shoulders on the backside of that there, that in the part that you drew.
yeah, well, and this, I mean, typical corrections are, 10% or so in the stock market. So, if we just draw from here, say down into 2.618, so that's about 12%. So I get the feeling that this is basically what the market's setting up to. And if you look at a whole bunch of these sort of darlings, like we actually picked apart some of these names, like Amazon has just insane insider selling, Microsoft, insane insider selling. Here's the big stock index ETFs, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, the QQQs. And you can
And
kind of see that same image. I mean, doesn't that look a little nosebleedy up there?
it does.
So, could we have a period where maybe we just do some backfilling here just to clean this stuff up? I think so. It's not rocket science.
Why do you say insider information there?
Insider selling? Is that you mean
Yeah.
that reference?
Yeah.
I
That's
could
what
show you. I mean, it's shocking. You want to see it?
yeah.
I mean, it's not really crypto, and it would be awesome if
It-
Coinigy could have insider transactions on crypto. Oh my God, that would be incredible. So maybe write that down to tell your dev team. That would be just sick. But like I said, let's take a look at. And this is hilarious. We take a look at Amazon. A site like FinViz here is their public-facing page. I don't think we get into too much trouble if we show this page. They have like price chart, and then they have fundamentals, and I like to use these to analyze the fundamentals. And then they also have like an analyst upgrade, downgrade, recent news. But down at the bottom here, this is so cool. They show insider transactions. Now, uh,
Hmm.
green is generally, oh, that's good. That's growth. That's happy go lucky, right? And red is warning, warning, right? Okay, so you tell me, what color are we seeing here? Uh-oh.
Let's see. Lots of red.
Uh-oh. I mean, look at this.
I don't see
You'd
any
think it would be
green.
balanced. Some insiders are going to buy, some are going to sell. People are coming and going. Nope. Sell, 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 sell. Option exercise. So that's getting the stock to sell. Sell, 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 sell. Option exercise. So now it turns out it is slightly balanced. There is one buy order. There it is by
Mr.
Jeff
Bezos.
Bezos
Jeffy.
for a grand total of one share. Like, what the hell is that? $115 he invested. Woohoo! I mean, that's almost laughable. There's no buying here at all. So, do you see what I mean by insider selling?
Yes.
And then, Microsoft is not nearly as lengthy, but it's still basically the same message. When we pulled this one up and you scroll down and you're like, okay, what are insiders doing? Maybe we'll see a little bit of buying. This stock must be value. I'd say it's Microsoft, right? No. Not a single buy. Everybody's selling the heck out of this stock. That, my friends, is a bad sign. That's not a good
I'd
sign.
say.
So that's what I mean by insider selling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, we'll put these guys away. We're here to talk crypto tonight. Sorry about that. Got a little. Actually, I did I did a FOMC video call today, and I think you even said you saw a little bit of it.
Yeah, jumped on for a bit.
If you do have the opportunity, I've told everybody before, I think the Rational Investor, I think our website and our community is totally awesome. And I don't think there's another education program on the net that is similar to ours because I've done almost every job in this business. But if you want, pop on over to our YouTube page and you get a whole bunch of fun free content that we put out. And I'm not quite sure if Chris even has it on here. There's our master blogger, Josh. I don't know whether you remember. I think you
met him early on when we were starting out this show up. So
yeah, that's right.
Josh.
Yeah. But anyway, today, and actually maybe Chris hasn't posted it yet. But today we had a really cool FOMC meeting. But I don't see it here. I wonder what Chris did with
Maybe
it.
click on the live tab.
Could be. Maybe that's where it is. There. Oh, you kind of know this stuff, eh? That's good. Anyway, we had a really fun live FOMC reaction meeting, and it's just Brian. And like I said, we had Waldorf. No, what's it? Stadler and... What's the other guy's name?
Waldorf, I thought.
Well, I think it's something like anyway, these two guys, we have a couple guys on the site who are like absolutely perfect for this. They throw it in their cheap seat comments and stuff. Anyway, so it's fun, and we have kind of a running joke. When everybody was in love with Jerry here, they all called him Chapow, and you could just feel the love. They worship the ground he walks on. So every single meeting we gauge how many times they say Chapow, which is kind of a weird thing to say. It's not his real name. It's this funny. I don't know what it is in the States. There's no aristocracy, but the way that the American population, from my perspective, the way that they sort of validate people's status is they have like these little... he's the chairman of the Federal Reserve, so we're going to call him Chairman Powell, right? And you have like, Pontius and all that kind of stuff, right? So anyway, it's kind of a fun commentary. So we keep track of, the reporters who are asking him questions, how many of them say Chair Powell because they want his baby and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, like I said, and I think I was saying this earlier, we're at the point of market participants where we can just have fun with this and we poke fun at it and stuff like that. Because if you don't laugh, you know how the old expression goes? And old broker buddies of mine, they used to always say this. If you don't laugh, you'll what? What do you think the end of that line is? If you don't laugh, you'll what?
You'll curl over. I don't know.
Well, you'll cry.
You'll cry.
So you might as well laugh, right? Laughing's a hell of a lot more fun than crying.
That's for dang sure.
So anyway, check out the YouTube channel. And of course, we have to somehow figure out how to link the Coinigy shows that we're doing with you guys. I wouldn't mind somehow having the feed on here as well. That would be really, really valuable.
I agree.
So anyway, check out the TRI page, and we do daily briefs every single day, and we have our weekend show, the Broiler Chicken Show. Actually, we've been working quite diligently on getting shorts going. So we've been doing a lot of these recently, and also too on a regular basis. The page has Chris is putting together these clips, And maybe we might even want to try and clip out little sort of nuggets of wisdom that we do out of these videos. And maybe we could even do clips and shorts with the Coinigy videos. I think that would be kind of cool.
Does Josh do that, or does Chris?
That's Chris, but
Talk to Chris and just see what he uses and stuff.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just made note.
it's not a bad idea. So anyway, kind of off topic there.
Yeah.
My apologies. So our algo, in fact, our algo had us buying in here. So we're still technically long, but as I had said there earlier, the broader U.S. stock market is looking really bad. And they don't call it the fall for nothing. That's another thing you can write down in your journals. It's kind of a handy thing that when we come into seasonality, the stock market is a very seasonal creature. So depending on what time of year it is, you can usually discern what should generally happen in the market. And I would also say the same thing with crypto, especially sort of the venture capital part of the market. The only caveat I would give with that is where are we in sort of the 4-year cycle? If we're on the other side of the halvening event, can you see the screen here? That's kind of weird.
Can.
All right. And we've been going just absolute face ripping up. Well, if we're coming into the end of the year, I would be really, really careful. But usually, and last year was a really, really good example. Usually venture cap actually sells off into the end of the year because of tax related reasons. And then you often get a really nice little window from sort of, November, December, somewhere in that area, into sort of May, June of the following year. You usually get a nice little seasonal rally window. So you can see in 2019, that part of the particular cycle heading into the following event, you can see the end of 2019, beautiful seasonal rally, then a pullback into the end of the year. That was, of course, the sickness nonsense. Here is the halvening event, and then once we're on the other side of the halvening event, look out. So I wouldn't be surprised if this year actually looks very similar to this. It's interesting also too how much pushback I got on the idea that we needed to go down and test these lows in earnest. And the tragedy it is, unfortunately, is the more pushback I get from sort of the people who are not market veterans, the more I think it'll actually happen. So I had a lot of people say, no way Bitcoin's coming down. We're going straight up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Brian. You don't know anything. I'm the man. I'm the boss. $7 trillion market cap on altcoins. Oh, God.
Yeah, they say I learned on TikTok.
Pardon me?
They tell you that they learned their trading techniques on TikTok.
That's always a good sign.
Some shill person on TikTok told me it was going to $1 billion.
Yeah. Actually, and it's also interesting too, in that, and of course, people don't really like to hear negative news, but I do think that there is value in this. Mind you, this is the TRI PMA page, isn't it? I have, follow TRI PMA. That's, and actually Josh, I showed you his picture. He's responsible for this page, and it is a great resource for like really good usable information that he's producing on a regular basis, and also too, all of our videos and stuff are all fed through there. I have my own personal Twitter, and I'm getting a little bit older in life, so I'm a little bit crusty and maybe a little jaded. So there's my mascot for crypto. Do you know who this guy is? Did I ever tell you who this guy is?
Yeah, the cabbage coin.
Oh, good memory. In fact, actually, we should probably say his name publicly. He is a convicted felon. So if you ever hear his name, you turn around and run the other fucking direction. But sadly, this is a huge commentary on crypto. Actually, interesting in the mirror there. Can you notice that? F-U? I wonder
Patrick
if you had
McDonald.
That. Pardon me?
Name's Patrick McDonald.
There you go. Remember that, people.
33 months in federal prison.
There you go. That's not easy time. They make you. That's hard time too, eh? So anyway, point here is.
Pack.
Pardon me?
It was Cabbage Tech.
Yeah, tech. Yeah, right, sure. Okay. Anyway, so on my feed, I put out the other day, and of course, crypto enthusiasts hate to hear this stuff. JP Morgan did a study here recently, and I would tend to agree with this study. That I think that the cost of production of bitcoins is around somewhere between about 10 and 15,000. So, interestingly enough, we've often seen in the past that when Bitcoin does go through some sort of face rip to the downside, and if we are in sort of an environment where the stock market is selling off aggressively, you can have windows where Bitcoin will literally lose 50% of its value just like that. So I do find it awfully coincidental. Here we are at 27,000, and JP Morgan is setting up its client base, sort of getting them ready for the fact that you might just get a 50% haircut here over the next 6 months. And of course, nobody in crypto wants to hear that. And how many likes do we have? All of a sudden, the viewership drops off. But hopefully, if it's one thing that you hear from the Beamish, and when we were up top here on Bitcoin, up here, we actually had people that theoretically took our education program and knew what the hell they were doing. Actually come out and say things like technical analysis doesn't matter, just buy Bitcoin, you'll get rich. And that's just dumb. So, of course, up here, Brian's barking about how, indicators are all in divergence and all that kind of stuff. I don't know whether we can show you it over here. But, that's, if anything, that's the value with me, is that I'm trying to keep you guys out of trouble. And I'm not going to bullshit you. But the irony of it all is that, have you ever heard me use the expression, trading is the only business where when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy? You ever heard that expression?
I have not, but I like it. Making note of that.
Yeah. A guy named Louis Rukeyser. He used to always say that line. You ever heard of the name Louis Rukeyser?
No, sir.
That's a generation ago. Anyway, so he used to be the host of a show called Wall Street Week with Louis Rukeyser on US PBS. So anyway, you knew that it wasn't BS, Problem, and then of course the major networks come and buy out the rights to the show, and nobody watches it anymore because it's a total political shill. So, but anyway, point here is we have talked a bit about things like momentum divergences, right?
Yes.
All right. So when you see this screen here, do you understand the divergence that's happened here?
Yes.
Price is making higher highs, and yet the momentum indicators are making lower highs?
Yes.
So you get, and especially when RSI gets to something like 92, you can see right here, there's the RSI reading. It got a high of 94.75. This thing is supposed to theoretically be overbought when it gets into the 70s. So 94.75 is a major warning sign. And the problem here is that it's at 94, and yet, well, Brian, the price is still going higher. So obviously this time it's different, and your TA is nonsense. And the public just comes in and buys, right, and all that crap, right? And they just end up, a year or two later, they end up going, oh, geez, I guess you were right.
It's crazy how that works.
Yeah. So, we kind of saw the same message recently. And I think I even put tweets and stuff out, and you even retweeted and stuff. And you see how we kind of got the same message again? So lower highs on our RSI indicator, and yet higher highs in price. And as who was that? Jay Wall over there on the YouTube page says, what are you supposed to be thinking as a good technician when you see this happen, especially this
Been telling us for weeks, cool your jets.
Yeah.
We even put a picture of it.
That's right. a very
The
cold
frozen
jet.
jet.
That's and actually I think I have it on that. My Geo was a while ago. I
Yeah,
tweet so much it might take me half an hour to find it.
it was at least like 3 weeks ago. I'd say probably a month ago now.
Yeah. Um. Actually, it was interesting. Remember last week we were talking about
Ruin.
names like this. Is this the ruin? I don't know whether this was.
Uh,
Okay, this was that little verge.
oh
So
yeah.
it popped a little bit, but that rune, gee whiz, that thing took off like a rocket, eh? Anyway, so I think some of the information that we impart on you guys is helpful. And there's Brian in his bucket hat. I have a bad habit of just talking on endlessly, and then we look down and it's 2 hours have gone by. So maybe let's try and shut Brian up. And oh, look at that! My damn green screen's falling apart. Look at it. It's just. Which way do I have to go? Do I have to scooch this way?
Now.
Look at that. Oh, now it's getting worse. I'm terrible at this darn thing. No. Oh, Jesus. Look at that. Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord Jesus. Jesus, I don't know how to fix this. What a mess. There we go. I guess that's
there we go.
Sorry, folks. Oh, no. I made it worse now. All right. There we go.
And for me,
and I'm actually looking at this.
Low, then my green screen shows behind me.
Yeah, well,
I've
just got this thing propped up against the back of my chair, so that's why mine's like a moving one.
I hung up two hooks on either side of my room, of my office here. And
looks like it's working like a boss, so you're doing better than I am, that's for sure.
Beautiful.
So.
Well,
all right.
Should we jump into some of what the requests? I know.
You tell me where you want to go. I know I did hear a request to talk a little bit about volume earlier, and we do have some requests. So you see, we got about an hour and a half to work with here. Do we want to do TA on specific things, or do we want to do tutorials? What do you think we should?
So two-part. I would like to get to the request of injective to USDT, but also there's Big House with Rune.
Yeah, well, we spent a lot of time on Ruin last week. That's this guy here.
Should we quickly talk about what you were tweeting quick on there and just kind of following up on that?
I don't know whether I have. I guess we can put him away. I don't know if I mean, I'm gonna have to. We were talking
volume, and that was why I wanted to.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is a really good lesson, and what I'd really love to see if Coinigy could create it somehow is like a visual representation of the buying volume pressure. And this is a concept called volume impetus. Now you can Google it if you want, but you're not going to see it. It's one of these Beamish concepts that I created. But hopefully you can see down here. And actually, if we look at right across the board, and this is why we always say a good buy is a good buy is a good buy, because a good buy is going to give you a ton of different reasons to justify going long. So this is that rune as it's working its way higher. I mean, the original double bottom breakout should be basically from that level on a weekly chart, right? So if we zoom out to like maybe even 3-day kind of idea. Can you see the W?
Yes.
So,
that W confirmed it.
Yeah, so if you are an aspiring technician, this is what you need to concentrate on, right? So if we zoom in on the daily chart, you actually see that within the context of this bigger formation, there's also a W that came in down here. So I don't know whether you can see this. We went down, up, down, breakout, like that.
Uh-huh. And
so, I might say that we could put weekly breakout level. Put that on the top, on the left, right there. And this would be the daily. I might call this more like, say, like, I don't know, maybe like a swing trader buy signal there. And you know how this goes. I would place my buy on a stop order on a break of that high. So that's 96.10. Yeah, looks like that's the high. So let's say 96.20. I don't know. Anywhere along in here, I would risk to the bottom of the W. And what's my minimum risk reward that I want to look for?
2-to-1.
So 2-to-1. If I sort of swing trading this, that's probably somewhere in that area. I would probably look to take off a chunk on basically a test of these previous highs. Maybe take half of the position off. Move your stop to scratch. Maybe right where you place the buy order, move your stop on the remaining position. And just see where the wind blows you. And, you know, on the remaining, gee whiz, I mean, man, this is what is going to make you rich as a trader. You know, it's like 14, 15 to 1 risk rewards. And it's still moving higher. So this is why it's ideally what you really want to do is you want to try and get those free positions on. You know, I'm always telling you to sell half on a double, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's those free positions. Now, if you're a setup trader, we want to make sure minimum 2-to-1s. And there's nothing wrong with paying you, right? If anything, you got to pay yourself in this game. Because if you don't, you might find that, you know, maybe it comes up here and then it rolls over and goes back down. And if you get stopped out at a full loss on this, that's painful. So anyway, the point here is that it's the runner part of the trade that's going to make you a fortune. This part of the trade is you paying the bills. Let's see, do we have an arrow here? Where is the arrow? Maybe it's over
I think
here.
where the heart
is.
I thought you were saying like the emoji one.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. But anyway, we'll just use this. So this part of the trade right here, this thing right here,
yeah,
this pays the bills. Pays your rent, keeps your electricity on, right? Pays your car payments, your food, all that kind of stuff. Rinse and repeat. It's this right here, this part of the move, where you've sold half on a double move, stop to scratch, which means you've made some money. It's this part of the move that you see. Have you ever seen my, I don't know whether you've ever seen my Twitter front page. Actually, I guess you did because you recognized our buddy there. What was his name again? Jerk Von Jerk? Something like that.
Oh, it was Cabbage Jack, Patrick McDonald.
Good to know that you're taking notes. So then that way, I know that somewhere in your notebook, in your journal, you're going to have his name written down.
His name.
This part of trading, this arrow up here, this part, this is where you do stupid things like you take 1.25 BTC, which was $500, and you turn it into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And actually, even on the website now,
website there.
Yeah, so on the website, we actually came up with a final figure. Now, I don't know whether, I'm not even quite sure why we're using this really weird number, but we added up all the sales and then all the taxes that were owed and everything and came to our final number. And it came out to $320,721.66. So,
what was that, like 2.5 years?
Pardon me?
How long was that? Like 2.5 years or something?
Actually, if we had sold the whole damn thing at the top of the market, it was the better part of $1 million. So, well, I was kind of lazy because, frankly speaking, and I did this with Will, right? That was the whole point of this, was the challenge originally was to turn $500, which was what this basically was. At the time, Bitcoin was $460. The challenge was, could I take $500 and turn it into 100 Gs? So once I had hit this point, I didn't even really care what happened to the rest of the portfolio. So we ultimately ended up liquidating everything final in a final hurrah about a year or so ago, because this was part of a Canadian partnership that we had, and we unwound the Canadian partnership. And it turns out the final balance was $320,721.66. It's kind of a weird number, eh? But
I
anyway.
think it shows the integrity of it, that like you're not BSing.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is, there's one guy who actually did track this religiously day by day by day. And he says he saw that this thing got up into like 900,000, into like 17, 18 peak. Remember that peak?
Oh yeah.
But
That was right
like I
around when
said,
I got into
after,
Coinigy.
sorry?
That was right around when I jumped into Coinigy, that 17,
Yeah, yeah.
18 there. So
So, I
that's
mean, I don't mind. And I mean, the
years
number's
ago.
kind of fun. And we've got another challenge going, and we've got another little old lady. I mean, this is the part of the cycle, folks. I mean, don't kid yourself. This is exactly the same part of the cycle. If we go back and look at the chart from 2017, 2000, actually, is it 14, 15? Actually, this would probably be before GDAX was in the space.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, no, that
We
was
need
that
to
last
look at
cycle.
some Cripsy data.
Yeah, Cripsy, that's a good
Now,
memory. Good memory. And actually, in fact, I don't know whether do you remember Cryptopia? They're
yeah,
still going
the
through all their
Canadian
bankruptcy
exchange. Yeah.
crap.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
That
got I
was
got another email
It's
from that.
probably 2018 when that was happening.
Was it? It might have been
Maybe
2018.
2019.
Anyway, so I started that challenge right here, eh? When Bitcoin was $460 or whatever. Yeah, right in through here. So keep in mind the halvening event for that particular cycle was, I think it was basically right here. So, no, actually, you know what? I think actually we started it here. And because I remember when Julian and I first started the site, we had to go through one more final down push, and there was one poor guy who completely lost it emotionally on this move down here. But the point here was we funded the account with like $450. So you could argue, or $500, 1.25 Bitcoin at $460 or whatever. So you could argue, I could actually make the argument that we are basically in this, maybe not here, but I think right now we're over here. So, and no, in fact, actually, I know for certain, right? Because you can even see the date. We are July, August, September. We're right here.
Yeah, so September.
So, just like that cycle, that is what came for us down the road. Woohoo! I don't know whether we have as big of a bull market this go round. Maybe. The interesting thing is this. Do you remember who was elected president of the United States of America? You better, as American. Right.
16.
Here.
That would have been Donnie.
Right. So this is the Donnie effect. And I have a funny feeling he's going to come charging back into power, and the whole damn market's going to go absolutely apeshit crazy because he's a capitalist. He loves capitalism. So don't be surprised if you actually do see something along these lines again. I don't know whether Bitcoin can do it, but you might see in like different individual altcoins. Like I said, this rune here is basically doing everything that we would see through that cycle. There was tons of these altcoins. But I mean, you tell me. You've been working with me long enough. Do you see the potential here? We're here. You can't even see where we are here.
Yeah.
I mean, and
I see what's appealing to you.
Pardon me?
I see what's appealing to you there.
Yeah, it's cheap. I'm a cheap ass by nature. So
You like money.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's facing us. The most important thing here is you just don't lose your head over this next 6 months, because we're probably gonna have to come down and
Yeah.
test the lows. And this low here, it was. See, the reason why I don't think we're in this particular type of cycle is you'll notice that we came down and we actually went right back down to the lows. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is why this kind of scenario, again, this year, and that was the sickness silliness, they took the market right back down and tested the lows, right back down to the lows. Um, so I definitely think that there has to be some sort of test of these lows ahead of us. But like if we were looking at comparison, this ultimate dump here happened August 17th. So we are here now, middle of September, and we haven't really broken in earnest yet here. And I'm hearing a lot of people talking about how they think that the I don't the U.S. economy is so strong. I really don't think that the U.S. is really subject to recession. But I definitely think, and you've probably heard me say this once or twice before, um, there are certain countries that are absolute train wrecks. And you can actually see as we're talking right now, this train is going down the tracks at about 100 miles an hour, and you can actually see some of the wheels starting to fall off the actual track. So that's where we are in the train wreck. And as Jay Wall says there over on YouTube, he knows exactly the country I'm talking
Canada.
about, which really sucks because it's my home country. And how can you publicly come out and say things like, oh, yeah, my country? Short the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you say that? I mean, it's almost sacrilegious.
Yeah. Let's see, we got some other comments in there.
So, if anything, hopefully, what we get here, and of course, Russia is another commodities country, Australia is another commodities country. All of these commodity countries look really, really bad in here. And of course, I don't know whether, do we talk about Winnie the Pooh and the stupidity of that country? I mean, it's just one shit show after another, day after day after day.
I haven't heard Winnie the Pooh for that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, in fact, he doesn't like that. So if this show does ever get to his attention, it would probably mean a death sentence for me, but I like to call him that. So he does not like that name. But anyway.
Is it Omar says you could have bought your island at the top, Brian?
Well, yeah, actually, them. Yeah, because keep in mind that this is a partnership, right? So those were TRI assets.
Yeah.
I suppose if I just did all of this on my own, I could pocket the money myself. But no,
It's
no. All
TRI.
kidding aside, actually, my net worth, I was actually quite pleased to see that I am technically a millionaire. So I don't really have anything to complain about. I really don't. The good Lord and Spirit have been very, very generous for me. The only problem is in my train wreck of a country, it actually takes $2 million to buy a house nowadays. I mean,
Crazy.
it's ridiculous. So, I mean, yeah, I think I'm a fairly well off guy, but the hyperinflation that they've created, and I think it'll probably unwind over the next few years. But the last thing in the world I want to do is go buy a house in this kind of market and get locked into debt slavery for the rest of my life. That's just stupid.
Yep.
So, if anything, down in your neck of the woods, I would absolutely love to go shopping in Grants Pass.
Yeah, the Southern Oregon there.
I,
Beautiful.
I remember I drove through there when I was a kid, and I absolutely fell in love with the place. And the only issue that I have is my son is, he's low functioning special needs. And I don't know whether he can handle me being away from him like that. So,
Understandable.
yeah. But if I was going to go shopping for a place like a retreat to head off into the woods and nice little cabin and some land, I would definitely go shopping in Grants Pass.
There's
So,
a yeah, right down in that area. I did a really fun. It was called a tree resort. It was like a resort that was all like tree houses down
oh,
in Grand.
awesome. That would be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really cool.
Okay, so
Send you
point
a
of the
link.
matter here, that the general message I'm trying to convey to the audience here is try and look at crypto as, and really the stock market as well. If we do get a nice 10-15% pullback in things like the S&P, and we do get maybe 50% haircut in crypto, it is still considered a venture asset, by the way. Consider that a buying opportunity. And what have I actually told you? What I'd like to really hear from you, Joe, over the past few weeks. I've given you sort of homework. Do you remember what that was?
About like, are you saying the coins I was supposed to look up?
Yeah, I mean, I want you to get serious about the
Oh,
names
about
you
trading.
want to invest in,
Yes.
right? Because we're supposed to be rational analysts. So that
Yes, sir.
means that we have to know the fundamental reasoning. We have to know the fundamental justification for us to be participating in this story. And anytime you're at a cocktail party, especially with your higher ups in the corporation that you're working with now,
Yeah.
you got to be able to talk fundamentals. So you have to say, somebody has to say, why are you invested in this, Joe? And you have to say, because of this, this, and this. What is the problem that your project is trying to address and maybe can even solve? Um, you know, where are insiders long? What is value? Why do you think that this price, X price for your asset is actually represents value? If you can make that argument, you could go right up to Warren Buffett and have a nice, reasonable conversation with him. He might debate it, your fundamental justifications, but nonetheless, um, you can actually have a big boy conversation with people in this world. But you gotta know your fundamentals. You have to know the story. So,
Yes. I did do my fundamental analysis. We did talk about it in some of those uh previous episodes.
yeah. Okay, so Brian's blabbling on again. Let's just quickly do the
Yeah.
volume
Oh,
tutorial,
yeah, OBV,
just so we can get that out of the way. Think of OBV as exactly what the words are:
on balance volume.
on balance volume. And that's the key here. Because you notice some of these bars are red, and that represents down days when the price of the asset was lower than the previous day. So that represents selling volume. And of course, some of these are green bars, and of course, those represent up days. And what you would ideally like to see at any given point in time is the trend, especially if you're a bull, is that we're seeing more and more and more buyers, and the buyers just keep showing up, and they want to buy more and they want to buy more. That's how you get price to move higher, is people actually have to pay the offer. All right, you ever heard that expression? That's how you lift markets, is people actually have to pay the
Pay the
offer, take
offer.
the offer out. And if you have, and if it's a good fundamental story and there's some sort of, big event coming down the pike and buy the rumor, sell the news, well, that's the kind of scenario that you see on the screen here. Is as volume is ramping up, that's a very bullish sign. One way that you can sort of measure this is if you just throw on a simple moving average of volume. So here you see down here, volume was lower than the moving average. Can you see that? It might
Yes,
be hard to see.
I can see that.
And not really very impressive, but you notice that we broke through that 20 period moving average on rising volume right here. So if you just said, okay, well, what did price do when we did break out there? Obviously, something has changed here. Volume pattern is ramping up. And you see, oh, gee whiz, look at that. That's exactly the same moment that we had a double bottom in price, right? If you actually zoom in, there's our W. See that? Remember I mentioned that
Hmm.
this was the daily W pattern? that is just one of the most monstrous buy signals you will ever see in your life. Now, I like to use an indicator to validate what I'm seeing here. And that is where the on balance volume comes in. Because as I said, all the on balance volume is just a running tracking of is the volume. Here you can see this is red, and so we're heading down. And here green, you can see the OBV's heading up. So what I usually do for like the students in the education program, and it's actually interesting that the OBV indicator now has a built-in moving average on this. So when I first started working with you guys, they didn't have this built-in moving average, but you see smooth moving average. You can actually just put that moving average. Maybe we'll make that yellow and make the OBV, I don't know, red. So actually, let's see if we can make these colors that you guys can actually see. Well, maybe that color will work. Let's see. Maybe make that a bit thicker. So you can see that, and of course, quiz time. Okay. Are M's bullish or bearish?
M's are bearish.
All right, so you can see how we M'd out here. Can you see the M's?
Yes.
And then another M, and we're below the moving average. Do you think price is going to be heading up or down at this point right here?
Down.
Right. So let's put that. I mean, beautiful M there, beautiful failure. What did price itself, and maybe we'll put that red. What did price do following that event? Oh, look at that train wreck. Down she goes. Is that kind of a handy tool to keep in your tool belt?
Definitely. This is awesome.
Yeah. So, and then the converse, and we already talked about this, but conversely, what letter of the alphabet is that right there?
It's a nice W, which is bullish.
And then it's a W that breaks through the moving average too, right? Can you see that? If you're like, Brian, teach me technical analysis and what should I be looking for out of my indicators? Because, we already know indubitably, what's the expression?
For about M's? Oh, no. That when an M's.
Remember we said indubitably? We were talking about the Duke brothers. What was the expression we were using? Volume.
Oh, volume speaks volumes. Sorry. I was in the middle of writing down the notes there.
Okay.
Volume breaks through the moving average.
Yeah. And, for the purposes of I'm a big fan. I mean, it's interesting if you actually compare something like a 9 or 10 period smooth moving average, or simple moving average.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan, and I actually got you guys when we used to do this with Will. I actually got you guys to lobby to be able to have the 13 EMA included on the indicator.
And why is that?
I like exponential moving averages because they hug price a little bit tighter.
Okay.
But at the, there isn't a heck of a lot of difference. Like, I'll just show you, see if I can do this here for you. This is actually the actual 13 period EMA. So if we just hide the OBV itself here, and so we just have the moving average, the 9 period moving average that comes with the indicator, and the there in orange, right? We can let's just minimize that. Can you see the similarities? So this is the 13 EMA. This is the 9 period SMA. They look almost identical, eh?
Yes.
So and here's a good example. Do you see how the 13 EMA is going to hug that OBV a lot closer, whereas the 9 SMA actually dips here a bit. So what we'd have to do to show you that is, let's go, We'll do OBV. And then what color did we have? I think we had this white, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's kind of, well, I guess I'd call that white. So if we change this to white, all right, so these two should look identical. And then we're going to merge the 13 EMA. What do we do that? Move to existing pane below. All right, so now these studies are almost identical.
Yeah.
The only difference is, as you can see, the simple moving average actually you did get across up there, whereas my 13 EMA, he didn't actually cross here. Interesting how the simple moving average actually started sloping down. The 13 EMA just kept its upward charge here. Interesting too, 9 SMA here has not, we have not broken back down, but 13 EMA has broken down. So, yeah, slightly different message, I suppose. But I think the buy signal here, it looks to be a, whoops, and this is where it gets tricky. Because what I have to do is put, there. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now they look a little bit closer. So you can see 13 EMA, 9 SMA. Interesting here how you can see 13 EMA. We didn't really get a bullish cross back above until over here, but you can see the 9 SMA. Notice all of these false signals. Like there's a buy, there's a sell, there's a buy, there's a sell, there's a buy. Whereas here we had a little bit of chop here, but all of this was just no signal here. So, call it what you will. What I'll just simply say is there is when the 13 EMA crossed the OBV a couple days later. But on balance, what I really want to see on balance volume, is I want to see M's and W's in the actual indicator. So since they are basically the same thing, hopefully you can see we're basic. Actually, we gotta hand it to you. The 9 EMA or the 9 SMA was a little bit tighter here. I don't know whether these are plotted totally correctly. I seem to remember that there was something I didn't like about how this was being plotted, but I think for the purposes of this conversation, we'll put away the EMA and let's just go with the out of the box. You already have it all built in. All you got to do is just type in OBV and you get the indicator.
Beautiful.
And so the question ultimately here is, yeah, I don't actually like to use the OBV itself as the signal. What I want to do is I want to validate what I'm seeing out of the volume bars. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. What I want to do is I want to validate what I'm seeing. Oh yeah, this was the moving average of the volume, wasn't it? So this is OBV. This is the moving average of the volume. And the key to this is a concept called volume impetus.
I have some notes from that, but
this is tricky, and you'll never see anybody ever talk about this online. In all my 30 plus years working in the market, never seen anybody ever talk about this. So this is kind of unique. And I gave it the name impetus. Like if you Google the word impetus, it's sort of like the internal push. That's about the best way I can describe it.
Says the force or energy with which a body moves. Make something happen or happen more quickly.
Solid.
The driving force.
I like to use this concept called impetus. I don't even know if that's the correct wording or not, but just think of it simply as there's two different forces at work in the marketplace at any given point in time.
Okay.
And think of this asset moving around as, where's the price? There it is.
The notes I have is the green bars equal the buyers are in control and red bars equal sellers are, or the bears are in control.
Well, it's relative.
Okay.
So if you have, I mean, look how low these green bars are.
Yeah.
I mean, look how piddly this is. So if you see really, really low green bars like this, then it means the bulls are just not in control at all. You do sometimes get a scenario where there was a big push, one direction or another. There was obviously some sort of fundamental justification for all of this to happen. I don't know what the fundamental reason is. If anything, we should probably quiz Sjord. He is TRI's CTO, and he really really likes this cryptocurrency, and he would be able to tell us specifically what the fundamental justification for this is. But clearly, you can see all green bars. I call this in our course education program big chunky green bars, where it's all bull. There's no bear here at all. But that's not always the case. And as you can see here, we went through a period, probably started over here, where actually the net interest in this name and this asset was falling away. And people were getting less and less and less interested. So the way that I do it, and it is a full module in our education program, so I probably can't do a full tutorial here tonight for you. But just if you want to try and practice this, at any given point in time, this is the great part about these modern charting techniques, and this is why I don't think that a lot of people have actually ever used this over the past, is that you could never do this in the past. But at any given point in time, I can get a visual representation of what the bears are thinking, and that's just simply, I'm going to put the bulls away, and I'll just minimize them. So if I do that on the bulls, the green bars, well, now I have a very clear visual representation of what the, let's put away this for now as well, right? What the bears are thinking. And it's the same logic as price action. So can you see how this looks like it's sort of making lower highs and lower lows over time?
Definitely.
So the impetus is simply here, the bears were actually ramping up through here. They were getting more and more active. So I would expect that price is actually falling as the bears are selling more and more and more and more. And then something happened here where actually the bears kind of started to lose interest.
Do
you see that? So
let's say it's around the 4th of July.
This peak in selling was the 12th of June.
June. Oh yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong.
And the way that I actually suggest people measure this is you're looking for 3 lower highs. So 1, and then notice this high here is higher than all of these. So 2, and then notice like this one's even lower, and then this one's lower, and then this one's lower. And then you just visually look for the lowest volume bar between the second and third peak. And I think that's this bar right there. And if we do a volume day, and that's 2.85 million coins right there. If we do a volume day lower than this, then it means that the bears are basically falling asleep. So that was officially this date right here. You see how this low volume bar? Can you kind of see how lower high, lower high, lower high, and then we went through this low here on that date right there? So I would actually say on this date, the bears fell asleep. Now, that doesn't mean that the price of the asset's going to go up. What it does mean is that maybe the price of the asset has fallen so much that if you did really want to sell, you're like, wow, this price sucks, man. I don't want to sell down here. I'll just wait until the price comes back up a little bit and then I'll sell some, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I mean, at some point, prices get so low that if you were a seller, you kind of go, well, I'm not going to get anything for this. I don't want to sell now. That's kind of a waste of time. So just try and think of this 3 lower highs kind of concept. And the trough through here, I'm not really too concerned about because the bull trend is still very active. It's the 3rd lower high, which visually gives you they always, if you're ever doing trend line analysis, they always tell you a valid trend line has 3 tags. So same sort of thing here. This is the start of a bear, but the confirmation of the bear is actually this event right there, where we rally back up to the original market structure. Maybe we even rally a little bit higher and we fail. And now this is an established downtrend. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So it's the same kind of thinking here. And what you should see out of your OBV indicator is confirmation of the fact that maybe the selling has kind of exhausted itself. And if I don't know whether I can do this here. Let's see. So price is coming down. There's where the sort of bears fell asleep. And now I would actually say that the market is drifting right now. But what would it take for the market to actually start going back up in price? Let's see if you can connect that.
Some W's and the bulls
enter the market. Let's be a little bit more specific.
Bulls entering the market.
Ah, nice. Now, how do we measure what the bulls are doing?
The volume. So we turn on the green.
Excellent. So we'll leave that the bears fell asleep right here. We'll leave that reference. But now let's go and measure and remember we said that the technical breakdown in the price was here. So, price is falling, blah, blah. And then we get to this point where the bears are like, you know what, I don't want to sell anymore. The trend is not up, it's down, but you can see how non-existent activity was here, right?
Yes, sir.
So, market's working its way lower. But what's going to stop the market working its way lower? And the answer is we got to see some bulls show up. So we'll put the bears away for now. And let's go take a look at what the bulls were doing through all of this. Okay, so we had a nice volume bar up here, but remember the bears were in full control. They had a huge volume bar way up here, right? You remember that? Right, we can just quickly validate what we were saying there. See the bears, I'm a bear, look at me, I'm all awake, right. So the bulls were trying to wake up, but they couldn't break this bar here. So notice after this event, things started to go back down in the pooper again. The bears were in full control. And so the key here is, remember we said that the bears finally sort of lost interest here. So now what we want to see, and remember we said that the end of these moves is like an M, where the third lower high will actually imply a fail. And then what we want to see is a volume bar lower than this lowest low right here, which for the bears happened here. So bears kind of falling asleep. They were in full control. And of course, we can always pull up the OBV indicator. Where's our darn OBV? Is it down here? Is this it? There it is. So you can see, remember we said the bears are in control. The bulls tried to wake up here, but oh boy, the whole thing rolled over. We had an M's here, sell signals on the OBV. Everybody's just blah. And then everybody just basically lost interest in this story. And I would make the argument that we're in full-on drift mode. And you might even argue that the bulls they also fell asleep, like lower high here, lower high here, lower high here. And we never did get like a 0 bar. Well, I guess you could say maybe through here. Mind you, these were red. So it's not really like the bulls were really awake, just sort of like they just really weren't participating. But what's the exact opposite of this kind of scenario? And that is, well, maybe we can start putting in higher lows and higher highs.
I can see that now, like where in the volume it's starting to do that there.
Right. So this right here is your key.
Yeah.
That, remember, we said that the bears actually fell asleep here. And what I tell people, and try and write this down, is you're not going to get the start of a new bull market just because the bears fell asleep. You might just find that this thing just drifts, and it might drift for months where nobody's interested in this thing and it's just a dead asset. There's tons and tons of examples of that. But for the purposes of this, since we don't have a lot of time, let's just keep moving forward. The key here is this is actually your visual evidence where volume was up, volume was very low. Then it turned around and it started to move higher. These bars are higher. Right? We can even zoom in on that so you can see that. Then we came back down and notice these volume bars here, the buying days, are higher than these volume bars.
Mm-hmm.
That is a W. So that's encouraging, but just like we want to see a breakout through the middle part of the W to indicate a change in trend in price, well, same thing with the volume. We want to see volume actually go through these highs and create a W. And that happened this day here. Now, one way that you can quickly and easily identify that, like we said, is for you to have on your moving average. So notice the moving average was heading down, it was sloping down, and then this volume pattern broke through the moving average, and literally the damn thing didn't look back following that event, eh?
Yeah.
So what you really want to see is this W pattern in the buying interest. This is, remember we had said just a moment ago, the bears had fallen asleep here. And this is quite literally the bull waking up and taking over. Does that make sense?
It does.
And the way that you validate this is with the on-balance volume indicator. It is an excellent, I used the on-balance volume indicator. Do you see how the indicator itself is above the moving average?
Mm-hmm.
That is uber bullish. And then, as you had pointed out a few minutes ago, oh my goodness, look at all these W's here in the actual OBV. This is your visual confirmation that the bull has indeed taken over. So really, really good. One of the most powerful indicator tools you will ever use because it's based on buying pressure. And as I said before, and maybe you didn't pick up on this, but what actually causes price to actually move higher? And the answer is the sell orders have to be taken out. Somebody has to come along and actually buy out those sell orders. That's the only way you're going to get price to move up, i.e., volume has to come in. Does that make sense?
It does.
So we often say that volume divergences, and in a weird sort of way with the OBV indicator, I don't know whether you can see this or not. We'll just sort of minimize the volume itself. Can you see how this volume indicator actually bottomed here? And it started making higher lows there.
Yes, I can.
Um, and the price of the asset itself actually made a lower low there. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
What do we call that?
Confluence.
No.
Damn
Maybe
it.
just Google the word confluence. And it should not be anything at all what we're looking at here.
Coming together, a meeting. Yep, you're right. Divergence. I'm a ding dong.
There you go. No, you're not. I mean, you're Mr. Master. Is
I'm
that a
learning. I'm
master's
learning.
program or doctorate?
Masters.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll call you a master debater. What?
Classic.
I'm being stupid now. Sorry.
No.
Um, so the point here is that this is our concept of divergence. And this is a great illustration where you could look at the price, because keep in mind, do you see how the price is making lower lows here?
Yeah. I keep getting those two mixed up, divergence and confluence.
That's okay. And actually, they're kind of the exact opposites.
Yeah.
But the point here is price is making lower lows. So somebody would look at this and go, oh, this thing sucks, man. It just keeps making lower lows. And yeah, there's no bull here. But then you look down at the OBV and you go, wait a minute. Something's not right here. And then, and do you remember how our trade process goes? Let's see. This should be a good quiz question for you.
Yes. So you're saying like the reasons
Yeah.
to make it? So you have to have the location.
All right. So let's go through the process and we'll put on our Fibonacci retracement levels. So what's the first stop target called? Do you remember what that is?
For Fibonacci, I should know this. Okay, 1 second. That.
Thank you, Jay Wall.
Thank you. 38.2, but I'm trying to see.
All right. And actually, it looks like it should be reversed. Then the next Fibonacci retracement, which actually really isn't a Fibonacci number.
50%.
All right. Then the Mountain Man level. Do you remember Mountain Man? Did I ever talk to you about Mountain Man?
Yes, Mountain Man was the 80. No.
61.8.
61.8.
And actually 61.8 repeatedly comes up. It's a super important number. 1.618 in mathematics. What's 1.618 called?
1.618 in math.
Are you a math major? Are you big on math?
No, I was not math. I was marketing, entrepreneurship.
It's called the golden ratio. And then 2.618, what concept do we use 2.618?
2.618 is chaos theory.
Right. So can you see how repeatedly we use 0.618? That's what I like to affectionately call Mountain Man level. It's the beginning of our reload zone. And then what's the BFF? What does BFF stand for?
78.6, and that's Brian's favorite fib.
All right. So if you're going to do a fib study, I always like to draw those levels out. All right. And lo and behold, look how the market came down on that divergence event, and it kissed good old Mountain Man level, 61.8. Can you see that?
I can.
So it's pretty typical. Would I say that this thing is cheap? No, not really. But are you chasing an up market? No, not really. So I don't mind, the reload zone that I would draw would just be something like this. I mean, ideally, I'd love to have the trade come down to Brian's favorite fib down into this original bottom, but market will do any old damn thing it wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular case, and like I said, I think that there's something fundamentally that was going on here that changed the story. Because remember, all that volume just started pouring in, right? So location, we kind of go, man, it's okay. I mean, at the very best, at least we've done Gann's 50% retracement, right? So this isn't fluffy. It's not like overbought at the 50% level. This is basically like a neutral reading. Um, we have now indicator confirmation. And what did we say? Where does indicator confirmation come in all this?
That's step number 2.
All right, so can you see as we're coming down into this level, oh, in comes the W's on the indicator. And we like OBV so much because volume speaks volumes, right?
Yes, sir.
And so what we're really looking for now is like we can look down at the volume impetus and we're like, holy geez, something's going on here. And then you can see the OBV breaking out. And then what was the final reason we have to justify taking a trade?
Market or price structure.
All right, and so what letter of the alphabet does this look like right down here?
That's a nice
down,
W.
Up, down. We did not go to new lows, and then we turned up. What letter of the alphabet is that?
That's a nice W.
So, can you see basically the 3 reasons to justify taking a trade? It's not a bad idea. And the interesting thing is when you actually like zoom out and look at the whole picture, it's actually a really pretty buy signal. So that was right down in this area. There's the volume study just exploding higher. There's MACD turning back up. There's W's in RSI, the relative strength index. Have I ever talked to you about Willie and how I built this indicator?
Yes,
so
we have.
Whenever we see the indicator, which is the moving average of this study, whenever we see it below this 20, or I guess minus 80 level, this is sadly when the retail public will be calling me up as a broker and demanding that I sell whatever their asset is. Which is tragic. I mean, it's so cliche, it's ridiculous. So I like to call the market stupidly oversold because the public always makes stupid decisions. Don't respect technical analysis, just buy and you'll get rich. That kind of talk. I hate that talk.
Yeah.
So I think we have a pretty clear message that the market's oversold here. So we're getting W's across momentum indicators. Not the best MACD turn, but nonetheless high. In fact, actually, wow. Can you see that the MACD indicator actually went into divergence way over here?
It did.
So this is a funny one. I got to get you in trouble over this one. Maybe not. Who knows? But I would actually, because this is a lower low here, do you see how that's a divergence? Huge divergence there. Massive. This one isn't really as much. This would be the W on the other side of the divergence, which would be the buy signal right there, right?
Okay.
But if we had divergences develop here, then I would call this double divergences. And what I affectionately like to say, and Brian's cheeky. I guess he's a bit of a male, but I don't know. I'm a bit of a male. I think I'm a male. But anyway. And I always tell all the students, the easiest way for you to remember this is Brian loves double D's.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right, you stupid male chauvinist pig, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, really, I mean, this is, and look at the beautiful W's down in here. Great W. I mean, just the most incredible W there in RSI. So hopefully, all of this put together, do you think that was a relatively good explanation of how we interpret volume?
Indeed, it really was. I learned a lot.
Good. I mean, the point here is that, and actually we've even had this debate on the website recently, is it doesn't really matter in the end of the day whether you're a fan of, things like reload zones or, you like OBV indicators over, relative strength index. Where was the chart I was just showing you here? There's an old expression in the market that says that a good trade is a good trade is a good trade. So if it's actually a good trading idea, you will see momentum divergence. You will see W's in price oscillators. You will see W's in volume oscillators. You will see volume impetus. You will see W's in price itself. So I know that there are some people that are like, no, use my technical analysis technique. This is the one technical analysis technique that you should use, and everything else is garbage. I don't subscribe to that newsletter. If anything, what we really have to do in your education with a guy like me is we have to try and figure out what speaks to you as an individual. You know, through my working with Julian, my business partner from day one here at TRI, he happens to be just absolutely in love with RSI. It's just who he is. And it's the way that he approaches the market. Could you use the RSIW here as a divergence indicator as your second reason to justify taking a trade? Absolutely. And, the fact that the on-balance volume and the RSI look basically like they're giving the same message, and then we get W's in price at the bottom ends of trading ranges, well, it shouldn't surprise us that this is what happened on the other side of all that. It shouldn't surprise us at all.
Stuff is so cool. I'm just like smiling thinking about it. I think that's awesome.
Now I'm going to throw a big bucket of water on all this.
All right, let's see it.
So you can see that price went to a new high here recently, didn't it?
Yes.
Can you see, and we can draw a nice little line here. Just like that, right? Higher highs.
Yes, sir.
Did volume confirm that move?
Nope.
Uh-oh. How about price momentum indicators like things like RSI? Did that confirm the move?
Nope.
So it's a double-edged sword. It works both ways. So, kind of like, remember we were talking about Bitcoin and the top up here. And just buy and you'll get rich. Well, not really. You had to respect, and even recently, right? This was the weekly price chart. This was the last big bull run. Better respect that damn divergence or you're going to get your head handed to you. And then, of course, just recently, right? Remember we said, you better cool your jets if you're a bull. Well, it sucks. And it's just the way trading goes. I think you could make the argument that our indicators here are not confirming this push higher here as we speak right now. Which kind of sucks. I mean, it's a trader's life. It's the way it goes. And that's the one kind of thing that people don't really like about TA is you can be like rah bull, and then all of a sudden the TA starts to break down, and you have to respect that message. Now remember, like if let's say I was recently hired by the people at Rune to market whatever this awesome program is that they're bringing in, and clearly something is going on here, right?
Yeah.
Can you see, and this is a good comment, Omar made this reference on YouTube. Can you see a volume impetus message potentially coming in here? So let's see if you can think this through.
So I mean, obviously there's the
one high
and then two
highs. Now, is that what we need to do the volume impetus? Or yes. Do we need one more?
You need one more, and then you need a...
Okay, so you can see the buyers kind of backed away here. A little bit of a higher high here, but this isn't very trophy. But then notice, look at this. How we really backed off. Then we ramped up dramatically, right? And that was on this recent move up here. Right, that's this move here is this move here up. If this was a rip-roaring bull and everything was rocking and rolling, shouldn't these volume bars be taking out these highs up here? But they're not, are they?
No.
And in fact, now, do you see how we could potentially have the bulls
Falling
fall
asleep.
asleep?
Yes.
So, what would that imply? And I think I like this high here to this high here. And notice that this is the low right there, right? That's the lowest green bar right there.
Yes.
So if we see a green up day that does less volume than that number right there, that will mean that I think that the bulls have officially fallen asleep. So that number there, sports fans, if you want to watch this at home, and of course, all exchanges, the volume number is going to be slightly different. This is on versus Tether, and what market are we on here?
Finance. You can see the logo up next to the.
So the point being that if you see this thing on an up day do less than 6 million coins, that's a bit of a warning sign that the bulls have fallen asleep. Now, the question here is, just like we did in the bull scenario here a little while ago, what are the bears doing at this time? They're kind of sleepy too, eh? You can see that they were awake here, then a little bit lower, then a little bit lower, then a little bit lower, and really even this recent high is a little bit lower. So you could make the argument if the bears do a day lower than this day, then it means the bears are going to fall asleep as well, eh?
Okay.
So I think what's happening here is it's like everybody is just been told to cool their jets. And does that make sense? Well, I mean, you tell me. Are we now at or near that double bottom breakout level?
No.
No. So if you were a bull and you wanted to buy, I mean, what do you think I'm going to suggest that you do?
Cool your jets.
Well, maybe more specifically. How about draw reload zones?
Yes.
Because if I want to be an investor in these assets, I'm a cheap ass, right?
Yes,
so I want to come in near the bottom end of the range. So, this last little pullback here was a tag of Mountain Man. If we do that, then that means this thing, the buyers might come back there at what, $1.25. And notice, look at this. We've got this 200 period moving average that just so happens to be sitting right there, right? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's an accident? I don't.
No, not at all.
So, recently I had suggested that, and keep in mind, a trader's life, you don't know what the hell is going to happen. I think it's extremely dangerous when new people to trading come in and start making grandiose predictions of what's going to happen in life. And, what's so funny is even the chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve Board today even admitted that the vaunted banksters are terrible at making predictions of what the hell's going to happen to the economy. They can't do it. Now, these guys are the 1%, the banksters. They're richer than everybody. They can afford all the research in the world. Shouldn't they know what's going to happen to the economy?
I'd hope so.
And how good have they been at predicting what's going to happen with that inflation? They were horrible. They got it just staggeringly wrong. So why would anybody else be any better? I mean, I used to be really great at making predictions, but then I broke my crystal ball. And I swear, it's like sitting in a box here in about 50 different pieces. I'm wondering if there are crystal ball fixer-uppers out there. I could find one to help me. Stupid joke. Point here is, we had said recently, if you were a trader, right? Traders got to trade your setups.
Yep.
And I even tweeted this out that, well, maybe we have a bullish setup, a bullish trend continuation trade. Remember, and I tweeted out the bot setup, right? And I said, well, sure looks like this thing's trying to bot itself out here. which meant that if you did take the bought trade, you want to enter at 25% of the anticipated range. That's there right there. And according to the bot rules, at 50%, do you remember what I said? Maybe pull up that tweet. Might make it easy for you to remember. Do you remember what I said based on the bot, what you're supposed to do if we hit 50% of the anticipated move?
I'm checking the tweet. Uh, so if you'd taken the setup, you should have moved your stop to scratch
Right.
the tag of the 50%. Okay.
So, can you see how we tag 50%?
Yeah.
And we started stalling out here. Remember also, too, we're up against these old eyes. What did we say that guys who, and girls for that matter, and houseplants and whatever, what did we say? Where did we say these guys are usually sleeping?
On the couch.
Right. So can you see how we worked our way up into these levels here? And these guys are like, oh, thank God. Get me the hell out of here. Oh, that was such a bad trade. And they basically sold into this rally. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And now in this wick right here, are there a whole bunch of new trap bulls maybe being formed?
I'd imagine.
Maybe. Again, we're not in the business of predicting the future. But this is why you trade these kind of mechanical setups, that if this thing does break down, and I remember I said I'm a really big fan of the 13 EMA. This 13 EMA, we should see price respect it and maybe even bounce off of it and continue on its way if this really is a bull. So if we've had 50% of the bot setup traded to, then you move your stop to scratch, which right now is at 165. Right? You see that? Because remember, that's where we enter the bot, right?
Yes. I see that.
If this thing craps out and we dink down into 165, if I had taken this trade, what should I do?
Moves. I was writing down what you had written on Twitter about tagging it.
This is exactly what you just said there a moment ago.
All right, so tag or move your stop up
to scratch.
To scratch.
And if we trade back down to this level, then you just walk away.
Okay.
That's a trader's life. You cannot get married to any position ever. Now, maybe you don't want to be a trader, and that's fine. Nobody's holding a gun to anybody's head. But if you don't fancy yourself a trader and you can't act when the market's telling you to act, then don't trade the bot. Just don't do it. Okay, so point here is this trade is still perfectly valid and it's perfectly active. It's still up. I mean, on paper, when you look at your account, you should see that the position is in the money, but really shouldn't do anything right now. If you were a prospective investor, what did I say just a few minutes ago you probably would be best to do? And I might even go off of this entire range, to be honest with you. If you were an investor, what do we say investors, what do they concentrate on? 3 letters? 78.6, 61.8.
And then
the venture cap, if you are doing venture
88.6.
Right, is 88.6, yeah. Where's our 88.6 on this thing? Nope, I don't seem to have it. Well, I guess we'll just pick one. Let's go with this one. All right. Good old reload zones, right? And that's what this green box is. And interesting, what did we call that if we put in a big honking W, we break out, and then we come back and we kiss that level again? What did we call that? Do you remember that? Like, let's say we come down here, and then we put in a W, and back up we go. What do we call that right there? Gentleman who lived about 100 years ago.
WD Gantt, the 50%?
No.
No, damn.
Um, his name starts with a W.
Oh, the Wyckoff check.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I can't take credit. That was from the chat, but yes,
All
I'm an
right.
honest man. I'm not gonna.
And I mean, do you see how I could probably teach a master's course in all this?
Yes, definitely.
I could very easily do this in a university setting. There's no difference. And frankly speaking, I think our education program is as good as any university program you'll ever get.
Agreed.
But at the same time, too, I don't like to play. Do you know what my opinion of university professors is? I think I've
Like,
told you this before. I don't think highly of university professors. So anyway. Okay, so Wyckoff check. I could very easily see that. Notice that lines up with reload zones.
mhm.
And what do we call that concept? And now you have to pull a word out that you used earlier. That
Confluence.
confluence. That's right,
I
right?
knew I'd
That's
get it right sooner or later.
right. So would be like trade location. So
Yeah.
then a confluence of levels. And then as we're coming into these levels, what do we want to see out of our indicators?
Want to see a nice W.
No.
Uh, oh, divergence.
Yeah, exactly. So we'd love to see that the market comes down into this level and is making lower lows, but you look at your indicators and they are not making lower lows. They're making
Mhm.
higher lows, right? Divergence. And then finally, we want to see a W in price. That's our price structure. So we go 1, trade location, 2, indicator confirmation, 3, price structure, go. See
Bada
how that
bing, bada
works?
boom.
So that's what ideally you'd like to see. Now, of course, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But it'll be
only time
interesting.
will tell.
And a guy like Stewart, he's like, no, 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 that's not gonna happen. This thing's gonna take the 13 EMA. It's not gonna stop out my butt, and then it's gonna go to the moon. Woohoo! See you later.
Exactly.
Now, who knows, right? The point here is, I don't want to get into the business of predicting. What I want to simply say is, all we do is we trade our setups. And right now, the most recent setup is a trend continuation trade. And so you should be long off this level. But if we crap out, then you'll know that you should walk away at this continuation trade at scratch. And then if you never got into the trade, keep in mind also too, if you bought this $1.11 area, oh, it's so close too. Actually, let's say you bought this. This would probably work better. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
you bought this double bottom here at 96
96.
cents.
Yep.
What do you think you should be doing if, hint, 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 the price happens to double?
Sell half on a double.
Right? So you can see, oh, look at that. Do you think that that's an accident that price actually stopped at that level?
Right there. Not at all.
Because probably enough institutional players did buy this. This did represent a double. And so they were like, hey, let's establish a risk-free trade. So if they did sell half on a double, then you get your original capital back. And then if this scenario plays out, this right here, what would we call that? And why do I give this the name that I give it?
Because you reload in the zone.
That's right. So I would be, a really, really good institutional trader would be long from here, would sell half on a double here to establish the risk-free position, get all of his original money back in his pockets, wait patiently for this setup to come in, and reload for the next bull run. That's
Makes
why I
sense.
call this the reload zone.
It checks out.
I hope so. I mean, it'll be interesting. We should take, we should probably also do a conversation about the volume impetus. But Like if we were going to tweet out images from tonight's conversation, something like that would be a really good. What are investors thinking right now? And frankly speaking, if I was an investor here and I sold half on a double and now I have a risk-free trade, I should be happier than a pig in poo. Right? I've won the game of capitalism.
Indeed, you have.
And that's the way you win at this game. Try and establish these trades that it doesn't matter what happens on this thing now. I have no risk in the trade. And again, circling back, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but how on earth did that Beamish guy end up doing this insanity? Because this is crazy. You're not supposed to do this.
You're selling half on a double.
And then reloading when it comes
5%.
back down. And you just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over. And it's just the same process, just repeated ad nausea. Okay, so we did a little bit of tutorial there. I hope we got some value out of that.
Maybe I did. I took a lot of notes on that one. So that one was fantastic. We're coming up there on the 2-hour mark.
Already? Oh, yeah. Geez. We do have to look at a couple of these names because these people are so patient. And
INJ/USDT. We'll crank through.
All right. What was that again? INJ?
INJ. So it's injectives. And so highest volume, I would take a look at Binance. And you're under favorites, so if you have to click on all. There you go.
Which one do we want to do? Versus Tether?
Binance on first Tether, so I would type /USDT.
I do like this functionality. This is kind of fun. Binance, right? There. No. Binance futures. Where would Binance?
All the way on the bottom, last one.
Oh yeah, there you go. Boom. Okay, well, once upon a time, a land far, far away. You gotta like this volume pattern here, but at the same time too, after our lecture here, do you see how people are kind of falling asleep?
Yes, sir.
Everybody's falling asleep. Nobody's awake. You can see that the bears, 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs. I think the bears fell asleep right here.
That makes sense.
So the bears, they've completely gone shut-eye. And then the bulls, 1 high, 2 highs. We haven't really had that third stab up here to really sort of give us those 3 lower highs. You see how that's a big bar, big bar, big bar?
Mm-hmm.
We have big bar, but we kind of just gone straight down here. Now, you might argue, well, isn't this sort of there, and then there? And if we get a green bar below this number here, isn't that them falling asleep? 471, or excuse me, 671. And we did 7 yesterday, and today so far we've done 3. So that might be the bulls falling asleep. And actually interesting, you can see the OBV indicator. You can see how it's slowly rolling over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did we say? What are we supposed to think if we ever see the market smiling at us?
Wants your money.
So it's kind of the same thing with the indicators. What might this indicate? It's an indicator.
Taking a turn.
Pardon me?
Bearish.
Right. So we'll do something like that. Since this number here is 714 and this number here is 713. So do you see how that's a lower high?
Uh-huh.
And the M has been confirmed if we see a print lower than these lows. So that's 697. That's 696. So if we get like 695 or lower, then that's a confirmation of the M. And here we have 694. So the M has confirmed, eh?
Yeah.
So everybody's falling asleep. I don't think, though, that the bear has really woken up to take over, right? If we start to see the red bars print, higher highs and then maybe a low, And then we see a breakout, that'll be like that rune story, eh? So if you see these red bars start to do this, then you know the bears are taking over. And then the same thing with the bulls. If you see the bulls do this, then you know the bulls are taking over. Right now, my impression here looking at this is everybody has just fallen completely asleep. And, you know, let's take a look at the price of the asset itself. Have we moved up at all? I mean, remember we said that the original breakout was kind of down here, right? You could make the argument. Do you see how we had a pretty big green bar here? I really like down here. We went down, up, down. These green bars were higher than these green bars. And then we went up through this. So it made a W here. So we kind of went maybe even down, up, down, breakout. Can you see that on the green bars there?
I can.
Right? And then look at the indicator. And yeah, it's off to the races. The bulls are in charge. So where are we going to top out? Boom! New big green bar smashes all these old highs. Nope, bull's still wide awake. Are we going to top out? Boom! New green bar. Bull's still wide awake. But then, oh, well, that story's now changing. So it looks to me like the bull really got going somewhere over here. So let's go see what actual price did. And as we said, it looks like the breakout, I think, is on the move through that high. So let's maybe paint that there. So let's go see what price did as of that point. Well, that's not bad. If you'd, what do we have going on here with MACD? And you see how we have lower lows.
You got some divergence.
Oh, sweet. I'm just going to quiz you into the ground so you start hearing my voice in your sleep.
What I need.
So can you see the divergence? That's pretty damn powerful, eh? And we said that the bull officially woke up right here. Can you see that big green volume right there, right? So that's basically when we started to turn back up here. Probably, if we zoomed in on this, you probably see that, yeah, it's not bad. It's not great. Notice we went down, up, down, breakout. You see the W in price there?
Yes.
So I think your buy is right there. Market moved up nicely. Interestingly enough, we could probably, if you miss this original move, kind of like what we talked about with the rune, the market moves up and I want to invest. Well, I just have to be patient and disciplined, draw my reload zones, and I got to wait for price to come back down into a reload zone. So that's what it did here. 3-bar fractal right there. 5-bar fractal right there. And actually, this probably made an inverted head and shoulders. Because notice, this bar came up here, traded as high as that level there, which kind of corresponds with these highs. Then it finished this bar here, then it opened up, and it actually went all the way down, right back down against these lows here, and then turned up. So if we looked at that on, like, say, I don't know, let's say a 6-hour chart or something, my hunch is you probably see that. I don't know whether we can go. Oh, yeah, there we are. Yeah, so can you see, if we zoom down to the lower time frames, can you see the head and shoulders?
Yep.
So it would be roughly here to here to here to here to here to here to here. Right, there's the head and shoulders. Something like that. It's not totally accurate, but I'm just sort of eyeballing
I can see it.
there. So I think your buy signal came in sort of like through here. And interesting too, notice the breakout and then the pullback that tested the original breakout. What did we call that level again? Do you remember? Right, and if we use the this high as a level, can you see that breakout? And then what did we call that?
The
Wyckoff check.
Wyckoff check.
Yeah, nicely said. Well done. All right, so the point here is, zoom back out to that weekly chart. Remember, we were looking at this over time, and we said, is there a way to sneak your way in on this reload zone test? I think so. There was a nice inverted head and shoulders down there. If you were just like, Brian, I like this pattern here. I like the bull div in MACD. I'm long from this level. I don't want to be fancy pantsy. I'll just be long from here. I'd be happy with that. That's fine. But here we are way up here. I mean, like, what is this price now? I mean, geez, we got to
know.
if the buy
down there, you
signal
sold half on a double a couple times by now.
Yeah, right. If the buy signal came in there at $1.82, then $4, right? That would be definitely a double level, right? 160%. I guess your double level would be right there, right? Is that right? $3? What's that number? Whoa, what does that say? Oh, that says, does that say 182 or 162? Oh, I drew it off of
started
here.
At 150.
Yeah, down there. Oh, 150. Okay, yeah, so $3 is a double, isn't it? So, do you think that rally stopping right there is an accident? I don't think so.
Not at all.
And then now, from now on, whenever you look at this, you're going to see this time and time again. You're just going to, people used to get angry on me on Twitter because I used to have this back in that, for $500 into whatever. Anyway, this, right, this here. I used to constantly be posting banging out doubles.
Banging out doubles.
I think I did a few
you had one recently.
I know I banged one out on a pharmaceutical company recently. Here's KMD Commode, right? Same sort of thing. Yeah. So I would do this and people would get angry at me and say, well, Brian, why did you stop the bull market, you bastard, right? You and all your crew are in there selling. And it's like,
gonna happen regardless if you do
it. Exactly. It's not me that's doing it.
Yeah.
But, it's sort of like, does the tail wag the dog or does the dog wag the tail kind of thing. So, hopefully you learn from this. When assets double off of the breakout levels, odds are we're probably pretty damn close to some sort of pivot top.
So then the next one's around like $4.50. Is that because it's another like $1.50? You start at 150 and it's another $1.50 off the 3?
I don't know. I kind of remember we talked about this inverted head and shoulders.
Yeah.
Notice how that's right around that $2 level.
Okay.
So I wonder whether that's the double level that they were working off of. That took us up here into a high of 458. So we said our head and shoulders breakout was $1.85 times 2 would be, I guess, better part of $4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably what this rally was. And then, back and forth, what do you think the odds are? There was divergence that started to build through here. The noobs, of course, all come in and buy up here, and they get bitch slapped. I mean, it's so cliche, it's ridiculous. So, we've moved up appreciably here. I'd also say, too, do you remember how a lot of our charts all turned back up in November, December of last year, right? If we look at the Bitcoin price.
Bitcoin took off.
I guess we don't really have it here, but you can see, remember that double bottom came in there, right?
Yeah.
And it was sort of like a lot of times in the market, there needs to be some sort of just horrific bearish catalyst that sort of, the public sees the bearishness and they just throw in the towel and say, that's it, I give up. I never want to buy this shit again. They're all crooks, right? Yeah. Remember what happened here last November that caused this?
FTX.
Yeah. So in a weird sort of way, that catalyst, I think, was sort of the ultimate selling crescendo.
It's kind of crazy. That was almost a year ago now.
Yeah, I know. And it just goes to show how slowly the justice system works, right? But the interesting thing is the justice system still works. And if anything, this is a lesson to all of you. Don't think you can outrun the Justice Department. You might sit and rot in jail for a year or two, but eventually you will get your day in court. And that's the one thing that I absolutely love about the United States of America. Did you know that in Winnie the Pooh land, there were two Canadians that were literally snatched right off the street. They were thrown in prison. They never even had a fucking trial. And
Not surprised.
the only reason why they did it was because there was a Huawei cell phone executive who was completely cooking the books, and she was arrested here in North America for fraud. And that is very typical China. They love to do that tit for tat kind of thing. And they called them the two Michaels. And it was a beautiful analogy of how absolutely corrupt and how evil communist totalitarian dictatorships are. I mean, look at all the Uyghurs and stuff, that they've been quote unquote re-educated simply because they thought that they had freedom of religion. Good luck. So that's the one thing I absolutely love about the United States of America is it's a law-based system. It's a rule-based system. And if you do break the rules and you are found to have broken the rules, eventually you will have your day in court. And, you can actually prove your innocence. You will eventually have your day in court if you're just patient and you just wait. And of course, it doesn't help. And SBF never understood this, is you can't go around fucking around while you're waiting for your day in court. You got to keep your nose clean. So he tried to go and tamper with witnesses and stuff while he's waiting for his day in court, and they threw him back in jail.
Yeah.
Doofus. So anyway, it's interesting now how his parents are being sued, eh? God, isn't that incredible?
I saw that.
Okay, so back to our story. Sorry about this. This thing has moved up quite a bit. Remember, how does our expression go? Buy when it
snows.
November, December, January. That's about the time when it starts snowing in our world, right?
Yep.
And keep in mind, most of the
rain.
These market axioms are based on the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
And how does the other side of that go?
Sell when it goes.
All right. So can you see March, April, May? It rallied up top.
Rally.
So see, and this is a good analogy, I think, of the quote unquote securitization of crypto, where crypto is slowly being sort of enveloped by the whole security, I don't know, what do you call it? Juggernaut? Yeah. I mean, it's a machine, right? This whole securities business, right? To the tune of trillions of dollars. So from a seasonal perspective, actually, this looks very normal. Just like the rune, you could take two different approaches here. You could say, number one, I'm an investor, so that means I have to be patient and disciplined and wait for markets to come back down into things like reload zones. And do you see how, remember, what do we call Brian's, I just gave you the answer.
Brian's favorite fib?
78.6, right? Yeah. And what did we say about wicks and tails? Do you remember that?
Love to be filled.
Eaten. Love to be eaten. That's what the expression is.
Yes.
And what do we call these people here that ended up shorting and thinking this was the top? Do you see, what do we call these guys here in this tail?
Trapped. Are they the trapped bears?
Excellent. Good job. Right? And, not very many public people short, but you could argue exact opposite, kind of like this wick here. Remember, where did we say these guys are sleeping right now? These people
on
here.
The couch.
Right? Couch, doghouse, whatever you want to call it. Well, you could make the same argument. These guys are sleeping on the couch and they would love nothing more than price to come back down into here. Maybe they just sold here and then they look like idiots when this thing goes zooming up, right? Mm-hmm. They would love to just go and buy back the position that they either sold or maybe they even outright shorted and they're dying 1,000 deaths here and they would love to have the market come back down into that level and free them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. And also, too, didn't we say there was a gentleman who lived a couple hundred years ago and his name started with a W? That might
That's
just be
Wyckoff.
interested in this level here.
Because it's coming back into the reload zone.
Well, no, no, no. What was
Wait,
this concept right here? I think you said it, but I didn't. I was talking.
Wyckoff?
Yeah, Wyckoff check.
Yes.
So we've got Brian's favorite fib. We got a whole bunch of motivated buyers that would love to get out of terrible shorts or sells. We've got Wyckoff check. So what is this starting to turn into? Remember, these are your two favorite words. Starts with a C.
The confluence.
Right. So exactly like what we saw out of the rune, this is exactly the same thing. We definitely have a confluence of levels. And what did we say was the most important thing if you ever think about investing your hard-earned money and the three-step process? What is the number one?
The location.
Exactly. Is that not a confluence of location levels?
It is.
So, there, if we were thinking about it, or if I was thinking about investing, the very first thing I want to see is I want to see price come down into here. Now, when price does come down into here, what do we want to see out of our indicators?
We need confirmation for divergence.
Well, what's indicator confirmation? We'll take that as your answer.
Yes.
So maybe we have price do something like this, and you draw your line, price making lower lows, but then you look down at your indicators and you see that they're not making lower lows. Right?
Yep.
Something
So
like that. So now you have reason number two, right? Remember we said reason number one. This will be reason number two, divergence. And then what do we want to see?
Market or price structure.
All right, so give me a nice W, something like that. All right, and then we get reason number three, and you have your three reasons to justify risking your hard-earned money investing. So that's scenario one. This is the investors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe this thing, they're reinventing the wheel. And what was the trend continuation trade setup that we mapped out on Rune that is still technically working to trade that, you know what? This thing isn't going to come down into cheap ass levels, Brian. This thing's strong like bull. Look at the moving averages. They're uber bullish. And it's just going to continue working its way higher. What was that setup that we use?
The bot setup?
Right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure, has this thing done an appropriate correction? And the minimum correction we want to see is
33.
And the maximum, we don't really want to see it go beyond
66%.
Okay, so you tell me, have we done 33?
Yes.
Have we gone beyond 66?
No.
All right, so at this point, when I see it come down into here, I go, the bot is alive. And then I'm just going to clone this. And I'm going to project the clone study up off these lows. And how many higher lows do we want to see to justify taking this bot setup?
3.
All right, so we'll do the bot levels 66 and 50 and 25. We're going to try and enter at 25. We'll move our stop to scratch at 50 and we'll start locking in profits, trailing our stops at 66%, right?
Yes.
So we draw that up, boobity boo, and there is your bot level. Now the issue here is that ideally I would like to see a trend line off of the top broken and then a W on the other side of that. Now clearly you can see we don't have that. What we might be getting here though, if we're lucky, is we can actually do something like that. So we've got one low. We have two lows, if we're lucky, and this is a bot and you're hunting trend continuation. Maybe we can come up, do a third low, maybe even something like that. And then this will set up the long entry off that 25. And then interestingly enough, if we go up and tag this trend line, what do we get to do if we hit this level right here? This is 50% of the anticipated bot.
That is the it's WD Gantt 50% rule.
Remember we had oh, I guess I don't have it on the screen anymore. That's too bad. Do you have that tweet handy? Right? Remember I showed
Oh,
you.
yes. Okay. So I got it on the notes here. Yes. All right. So that is um
Stop to
the
scratch.
stop. Yes, move the stop loss. So
So
that's
the point being that, if we did get nice structure that developed off this 25 level, we did get the pop up into the 50% level, you'd move your stop to scratch. And if this thing just got rejected back down away from that, then you just walk away.
gotcha.
But you never know. Maybe the thing just blasts off to new highs. Who knows? I mean, just as a trader in this world, you just don't know. You just don't know. And I don't think it's in anybody's best interest to get into the business of predicting this is what's going to happen, because that's a potion for disaster. So you just got to go with the chalk marks. I know there's some people that I worked with in the years gone by that are just like, screw it. If I'm going to get paid $3 by buying that level and then selling up here versus risking $1 if I buy this level and I get stopped out. How often do I have to be right just to break even? If I'm getting paid $3 and risking $1, and remember we did these funny little
25% of the
boxes,
time.
right? We got one. There's
Yep.
your risk box.
So just 33% of the time.
And there's your reward box, but we'll do this 3 of these, right? So 1, 2, oops. And we'll do another one. 3. So if I'm
3%.
wrong, and this is assuming I do 2 trades, trading the bot, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bet to be 50% right. We'll make this green. Right? So this is your win versus your loss. So if I'm batting 50%, 1 loser, 1 winner, am I profitable?
Yes.
Hugely so. Right? Just do the math, right? So if I put $1, and we'll maybe make this like a minus here. Minus $1 for this guy.
Or plus.
But plus 3 for this guy.
Yep. You're a winner.
What's the end result? The end result is plus 2, right?
Yep.
So it's not a bad living. This is 50%. So that means that to actually just be a scratch trader, maybe what I do is well, actually, here, why don't we just make it easy? Let's go like that. Now I've had 2 losers and 1 winner. And I'm probably being a little, silly with this, but nonetheless, hopefully you understand this.
I get it. You just need to be correct only 1/3 of the time when trading 2 to 1.
Well, 2 to 1, yeah, 33%.
Yeah.
3 to 1, it's even lower than that.
Yeah, 25.
Here I've lost $3 now, and yet I made $3. So what am I batting here? And this is scratch, right? So I lost $3. I made $3. I'm just breaking even. That's like 25% win rate, right?
Yep.
So, and as we said, if we do 33%, well, now I've lost $2, made $3. I'm up $1.
Yep.
So I know a lot of guys that are like, with this kind of win-loss ratio, I'm just going to take the freaking trade. and just live with the results. If I can get any kind of bullishness here, and this, what did we say this 3-bar pattern is called here? Do you remember? This will really fry your brain. Actually, oh no, it's not quite. This low looks a little bit lower, doesn't it? So this low here is 634. This low is 630. Sorry, let's try that again. 636.4 or 6364. And this is 638. So this is a lower low.
Oh, is that
inside? But if we finish this bar here, right, and then tick up through this high tomorrow, or I guess next week. Keep in mind, this is a weekly price chart. If we go down to the daily price chart, I bet you we can find a really tight little bottom in here. But the point here is if these levels stay the same, do you see how 25 is right there? And we go up through here, what is this 3-bar pattern called? This bar, and this bar. And I heard you say fractal earlier, which is 100% correct. Right? And let's just see whether this shows up on our little fractal tool. It doesn't show up yet because this has got to actually finish here. If it does finish and we print this candle here, then my hunch is we're going to see that fire there. So that could potentially be forming. And just the point is that I do know a lot of professional traders. Again, we're not going to be obsessed with being right. That's not the key to this, because what did we say we are as market participants? Do you remember? What job
statisticians?
We're statisticians. That's what we do. And, you know, the great part about the bot here is you can actually be wrong more than you're right. But if you have the kahunas just to stick this out to these levels, you can actually be profitable with only being right 33% of the time. Beautiful. And you're a scratch trader if you're only right 25% of the time. And I've told you guys before in these videos, and I'll say it again, this is the key to making money from trading in the markets. You have to make sure that you limit your losses and you let your winners run. You've got to do this. It's the only way to win at this game. So, cool. Whoever asked about INJ, hopefully we've given you a pretty good idea of what I'm seeing in the market. Now, as I said to you before, I don't know what the hell's going to happen in the future. Nobody does. It is interesting, too, though, how the moving averages are up here and how if this fractal does fire, these moving averages are going to be pointed nice and bullishly. So that's always a good sign.
Awesome. That was very, very informative today.
Oh, good. Well, why don't we why don't we say, well, not quite sure how I'm going to do this, but why don't we do something like 78.6 and then 61.8. And then we will do our, whoops, that's backwards. And yeah, by all means, if you guys are getting value out of this, and if you're watching this video later on, and you're getting value out of it, please understand that the hitting the like button and subscribing and ringing the bell notification thing, it helps out the algorithm immensely. So, we would love you if you could give us a like and subscribe, and let's see if we can all ring Joe's bell together.
Let's do it.
So what I'm going to say here is investors, probably looking at something like this. In fact, here I might even, let's go confluence of levels. So we'll do that as a 12. So investors, they probably want to be focusing in, can we get a pullback into reload zones, and say something like hunt 3-step setup. All right. And then we'll say traders. We will say hunt trend continuation setups. And I might even say, you know what, let's say hunt 3-step. But really what we're talking about here is value setups.
Gotcha.
So that's the way that I think I would be approaching this right now. So that's a nice little tutorial, eh?
It was. Thank you. I got a lot out of that today.
Oh, good. And then maybe we can put this on the tweet. You know how we sort of do like a chart
The
following the
the
conversation.
wrap up.
Yeah. So that's a nice image. Let's get rid of that. So that's a nice
Beautiful. If you want to
image.
send that to me.
Where did I put that? I put it in the members lounge. So let's go and put this in. Where are you? You're over here, aren't you? Crypto Kid. That's you. There we go. Now, would you prefer the link to this, or would you just prefer the picture?
The picture's great because I'll link the video here to it, the
Okay.
YouTube video.
Yeah, I like that. And hopefully, the person who asked us to look at that gave you a pretty good idea of what I'm seeing.
Be sure to comment and make sure they're getting that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fascinating. How do we get the viewership up on this thing? I don't know. Would love, especially here in North America. I would have thought there would have been more North Americans interested in that. Anyway, if you could hit the actually, yeah, we got 7 people watching, but we got
Yeah.
8 likes, so that's good.
Yeah.
The metrics are at least working in our favor.
Yes.
And
Awesome.
by all means, if you're on the Coinigy site through the week and you're watching these videos, we'd love to, post a comment on these videos. YouTube loves comments on these things.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Hey, awesome. Yeah. Since the Cripsy days, they're saying,
Cripsy, God, it's been a long time since. Just
yeah,
want to say y'all have taught me so much about crypto since I started watching in the Cripsy days. That's a million years ago. Holy
yeah.
moly. Do you remember Crapsy? I don't
I
know. That's
do.
probably before
That
you
was
got
before, so
involved.
they got shut down before I officially joined Coinigy, but
Yeah,
I'm very familiar with them.
Crapsy.
Crapsy. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Brian, I think we're getting there in time here. We're wrapping up at two
Yeah,
and a half
actually, this is
hours
a good
here.
half an hour over. I always,
Yeah.
this is my
Well,
number one problem is I love talking.
I mean, it's all very incredible information. So I think I speak for everyone else in the chat here. We appreciate your expertise and knowledge.
Oh, good. I don't know
Yes.
how much of an expert I am, but I try my best.
Come on. All right. Well, guys, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. As Brian was saying, it does help our algorithm. You're helping us out here. And
Everybody, all 9 of you watching, could you please just maybe take a moment and just wish me and my son good luck for our road trip tomorrow? It always helps if I get karmic best wishes from all of you. That's my payment for doing these shows. It seems when I ask you guys to do that, Liam is usually in good spirits. So thank you ahead of time.
thank you. And all right. Well, best wishes tomorrow. So you guys have a great day. And
Thank you,
thank you
sir.
for everyone who tuned in tonight. It's always fantastic hearing from you all. And on that note, we'll see you guys next week. And goodbye for now.